of our special I-24 News Israel Hayom election interviews, together with Israel Hayom's diplomatic correspondent, Ariel Kahana. Let's listen. Ayelet Shaked, thank you for joining us on I-24 News.
My pleasure.
Just this week, you said if Naftali Bennett does not form the next government, then Israel will be forced to go to fifth elections.
No, I didn't say it.
Okay.
It was fake.
You were misquoted.
Yeah. I said that if you vote for Yamina, then it's the best guarantee that we will not have a fifth election. Because Yamina is like in the center between the two blocs. You know, there is bloc only Bibi, the bloc not Bibi, and Yamina is in the center, and we have the responsibility to force a government.
So how will you do it? What's the coalition? How does it gonna look like?
So we have we gave guidelines. We will form a right-wing government with a right-wing prime minister. In my opinion, Naftali Bennett is the most suitable person to take the leadership of the state of Israel.
But how would it be a right-wing government if Lapid is going to be your partner? He's not in the right.
The majority should be right. You know, Netanyahu never established a right-wing government. He always went to the left. So right now we have 80 mandates of right parties. 80 right, 30 left, 10 the Arabs, and there are different options.
Right.
In which we can form a right-wing government.
But let me ask you one option. If you had a government in which Naftali Bennett was the defense minister, where you went back to being the justice minister, but Yair Lapid was the prime minister, would that government still not be worth having rather than go to fifth elections?
We will not sit under Lapid as a prime minister. Since the vast majority of Israel belong to the right camp, we are not about, to give the prime minister chair to Yair Lapid from the left.
If it means fifth elections?
I think that but I think there are many other options. If Yamina...
I would love to hear what are they, because you bypassed the former question. What is a coalition? You see in your eyes the day after. Why not?
I'm not going to speak about the day after, because, when you have a lot of experience already, you know that we never expected before the election what will be the coalition after the election. I can just say the guidelines. Lapid will not be a prime minister. We are going to establish a right-wing government, and in my opinion, and I think that many people think like that, Bennett is the most qualified for the job.
But let me ask you, your party has not ruled out, unlike some of the others, Benjamin Netanyahu as prime minister. But after the experience your party had, you're not even part of this government. Even after your personal experience, you and Naftali Bennett with Benjamin Netanyahu, how can you put trust in him as sitting with him as prime minister, even in agreements? How would you know that he would even keep agreements made to you and Naftali Bennett?
First of all, he didn't keep agreement. He had an agreement with Gantz, and he just didn't keep it. We are going to election. The people will decide who will be the prime minister. We are asked for the people their support in order to form a right-wing government. But as I said, we will do everything that we need according to the guidelines that I gave, in order to establish a government.
You said Bennett, is the best candidate now to be Prime Minister. And I want a sincere answer. Do you think that if Naftali Bennett was a Prime Minister during the last year, he could bring the vaccines to Israel with this, miracle operations that took place, and actually it took Israel out of the corona? Really, could Naftali Bennett do it as Netanyahu did?
Definitely. Naftali Bennett, in the corona, said in the beginning even of the crisis, in March, in April, exactly what we need to do. And Benjamin Netanyahu, because it was Naftali Bennett, he didn't want to do it. We waste few months until he understand that this is what we need to do. So definitely, if you ask me, I think Bennett could manage the crisis better than Netanyahu. Even with the vaccine, I heard the CEO. Naftali Bennett can also bring ring the phone to Bula. He can do it as well.
But Bula said he knows who Netanyahu is.
Obsession, believe me.
I want to go back to the talking about the possible options of government. One idea that has been floated is a rotation prime ministership. Didn't work in this government for sure. But do you see an option for Naftali Bennett to enter into some kind of rotation agreement, be it with Benjamin Netanyahu, be it with Gideon Sa'ar?
Netanyahu established the rotation for 3 times. He didn't succeed to establish a government, and when he established a government, they collapsed few months afterwards. You know, we are in a endless loop of elections,
Could you establish?
And definitely we can break it if Yamina is big enough. Then
you get about 11, 12 seats in the polls. You know, it's not that doesn't bring you a stable government.
We can get even more. You know, in this time there are many people who didn't decide what they are going to vote. Many people. I think that more than in the past. And we don't know the results of the election. We need to wait for next week to learn what will be the results, and then we will decide.
Let's talk about some of the issues now and some of the parameters you might set for a government. Now, of course, you focused a lot on the relationship of the Supreme Court, the judiciary, to the government. One of the ideas proposed is one that would allow the parliament, the Knesset, to, in a sense, override decisions of the Supreme Court. Is that a red line that you would insist of in any government that you enter?
This is definitely something important. We asked it also in the previous coalition, but Moshe Kahlon, the Kulanu party, didn't support, so we couldn't do it. But it's definitely something in our agenda. I think it's the right balance in the relationship between the Supreme Court and the Knesset, but it depends on the coalition. You know, let's see what will be the coalition.
So what is your most important, in your opinion, in making those changes in the legal system, or having a government? In other words, would you give up your ideology about changing the...
We are not giving up the ideology, but
if you can't make both, you said you might not make both. What would you choose?
We need to see what will be the results. It's very important, even critical, for Israel to establish a functional government. You know, there are systems to manage here, the education system, the security system, the health system. We all need budget and government. So yes, the majority of the government will be a right wing, and definitely the changes that we want to do in the judicial system is very important for us. And the override bill is very important for us. Let's see the results.
Okay, you're saying time after time with a lot of confidence that next coalition will be headed by you, by Bennett, and that you are sure it's going to be a right-wing government. It brings me to think maybe you have some secret agreements, secret understandings between you and the Haredim, between you and Smotrich.
Let's wait and see what will be the results, and then we'll be able to establish a functional coalition.
Let's talk about another issue, of course, important to Yamina, extending sovereignty to the West Bank, or what some call annexation of the West Bank. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu decided to put that off indefinitely for the sake of the Abraham Accords, for now maybe with relations with the Biden administration. What about Yamina? Would you be willing to accept a government that indefinitely postpones extending sovereignty to the West Bank?
First of all, I think that Prime Minister Netanyahu did a mistake. He has an opportunity with President Trump when he was in the White House, and he was very supportive of the idea. I think it was a historical moment in which Netanyahu, you know, he didn't take it. And definitely we support sovereignty on Judea and Samaria. We think it's very important. We will continue to push for it. Let's see what will be the coalition and how the administration will react.
Another political scenario we didn't discuss is the possibility of a bloc between you, Yamina, and New Hope.
You always, you know, you look for the solution.
Yeah.
I keep telling you.
I think I'm not the only one. Probably 9 million Israelis look for the solution.
I keep telling you, let's wait after the election. You remember last time we were in one bloc with Netanyahu, and in the moment that he entered Kahol Lavan to his coalition, he took Yamina out and told us, okay, now you will be in the opposition. So, you know.
So maybe Gideon Sa'ar is more reliable partner.
All those, talks before the election are not relevant.
Are there talks now between you and the others?
No, but we need to see the results, and then we will start to talk.
I'm going to come back to another issue that's probably especially important for the viewers of this channel. That was a decision by the Supreme Court to recognize non-Orthodox conversions in Israel for the sake of the citizenship. The court said they had to act because it's waited 15 years for the Knesset to make a law that would be consistent with current practices. What is Yamina's position on it? Would you be willing?
We said many times we need to adopt the Nissim Committee. Moshe Nissim, he was nominated by the previous government, the government in which I was the Minister of Justice, and he established a very reasonable conversion law, and we need to pass it in the next.
But let me ask you, the fact that you say that, but it's been years now and it's still not passed. Was the Supreme Court right to make this ruling because the Parliament failed to do so?
The Parliament failed for 15 years.
Right.
And I think the Supreme Court, if he waits 15 years, it wasn't so urgent to do it 3 weeks before the election.
I know people waiting to be converted, Ayelet, who feel differently.
I think the solution is Moshe Nissim law, and we will make a big effort in order to pass it in the next Knesset.
My last question. Will we meet here in a half year for the next elections?
No. Vote for Yamina, and those are the last election in the coming 4 years.
I won't share my vote, Yeah.
And you feel that that's the importance of forming a government is enough to avoid a fifth election, even if you have to compromise some of your.
It's very important. I don't think we will compromise because we are not boycotting anyone except Meretz, which are not Zionist anymore if they support the ICC.
And the Labour Party by Merav Michaeli?
We are not boycotting anyone. Meretz is not Zionist party anymore.
And Ibtissam Marana from the Labour is better?
In the minute they supported the ICC.
Are you boycotting the Arab?
And gave legitimize to the ICC.
Are you boycotting the Israeli Arab parties?
I'm not boycotting, but I'm saying that Israeli government cannot form a government on the Arabs party because the Arabs party will not be a partner if we need to do a military operational in Gaza, in Lebanon, or with Judea and Samaria.
Ayelet Shaked of Yamina, thank you for joining us. Ariel Kahana, thank you.
Thank you.